Maya Elious is an award-winning business coach and personal brand strategist who helps experienced entrepreneurs clarify their message and reinvent their brand with alignment, clarity, and authenticity. Over 15 years, she's been the go-to expert for thought leaders and experts, guiding them through powerful pivots, profitable positioning, and brand evolution across every major shift in the online space. As a founder of Built to Impact, Maya has led thousands of clients through her programs, events, and consulting offers, helping them turn their expertise into a legacy brand, launch high-ticket services, and scale beyond six figures with integrity and confidence. Her work has been featured in Forbes, Business Insider, and Black Enterprise, but her true passion is simpler than the accolades: to help women build lives and businesses that feel good on the inside as they present online. When she's not teaching or coaching, you'll find her traveling the world and spending time with her family or binge watching a medical drama on Hulu. What's up? What's up, my financially intentional people? I am joined by Maya Elious today. We're going to talk about reinvention. And Lord knows I've reinvented myself so many times in my professional life, my personal life, like all around. But it's something that I really feel like people are hesitant to do. But I think nothing is consistent except for change, and we should embrace it. So thank you so much for joining me, Maya. I really appreciate you being here.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited for our conversation.
Of course. And just share your background. Like, how did you get into this entrepreneurial space? Where did it all start?
Yeah. So as we talked a little bit about before, I started in the branding space in 2008 when I was creating custom MySpace pages for models, musicians, reality TV stars, basically people in the entertainment space. And MySpace was the platform for those people who wanted to build their brand. And of course, when I was creating custom MySpace pages, I didn't even know what branding was. I just knew I was helping people look cool on a platform. And that's all I wanted to do. I was 18 years old with the MySpace page with just all of the quotes and all of the graphics. And so that's how I got into that space. And then after a few years, I started telling people I was a web designer, even though I had never designed a website in my life. But listen, somebody gave me $300 and I went on YouTube, how to bake a website. And I built that website. My client was happy. And I just started to continue evolving into the space and learning and growing, and then transitioned from web design to coaching and really helping my clients figure out what their message was. I discovered my gifting was messaging when I was working with web design clients who they didn't know what to put on their website. They didn't know how to communicate the value in what they did and make it clear and exciting for other people to read. And so that's how I got into the coaching space, when clients were investing money on websites that they weren't making money from because their messaging was off.
How did you learn messaging though? And then through this journey, weren't you like in college and then dropped out of college?
Yes, there's so many layers to my story. And so I'm always like, I don't know how much to give. But yes, I was definitely in college and I ended up dropping out to work for myself full time, which was one of the scariest decisions of my life, especially being a first generation American. And my parents came to this country from Liberia through my dad's education. Like, my dad is so brilliant. So his expectation was for both me and my sister to go to college, get a degree, which we ended up both dropping out and becoming full-time entrepreneurs. And so my poor parents, probably the level of stress, they're like, Lord, where did we go wrong? We instilled so much in these children just for them to be disobedient and drop out of college. But the work ethic they instilled definitely paid off for both my sister and I. But yeah, I eventually dropped out of college and I discovered my gifting and messaging because I realized for me that it could be challenging for me to understand complex concepts. Even when I was in college, I went to a community college and then after like maybe a year and a half, I went to a bigger university and I was so overwhelmed with the information that I was learning at the bigger university. Classrooms were bigger and I was just struggling at the university. So then I unenrolled and I went back to the community college where it felt a little bit easier to understand the concepts. And just based on how my brain works, I just like simplicity. I like information to be streamlined. I think very operationally and I work very operationally. My gifting is in messaging, but another gifting of mine is systems and operations. I just need things to be clear. And so that's how I discovered my gifting. It wasn't like, did you go to school to learn communication and messaging? Did you read a book? It was when I had conversations with my clients, they would say things in a complex way where I was forced to dumb down, so to speak, what their expertise was in layman terms in a way I could understand it. And so when I would do that, I would carry it through a Maya filter, and they're like, yeah, that's exactly what I mean. You just said that in way less words and it's so clear. And so working with experts, I had to say, let's remove the expert jargon and we need to speak as if we're speaking to consumers and not speak as if we're speaking to peers. And I think that's also not only what just makes me a good coach and good marketer, but what makes me a good teacher. I teach and coach my clients in a way where you can take this concept that felt like rocket science and now it feels like fifth grade chemistry, and it's so simple and it's so easy now and you can implement more quickly. That's why my clients get results quickly, because now they're not overwhelmed with the concept. They can take the information, it's streamlined, and they can implement. And so that's how I discovered my gifting. I'm like, looking at my clients, girl, we got to simplify what you're saying so it can make sense, enough sense to your consumers that they can take action. And so a big gap between people not converting is that your buyer is just simply not clear because this is confusing.
Yes, I was told, or I think I remember that most people who consume information, most people who are your clients probably are understanding things at a fifth grade level. And so I found my niche in like the personal finance space because that's what I had to do in personal finance. I was like, when I understood things, I was like, wait, it's just this X, Y, and Z. And then I was able to translate those concepts, which I feel like people do overcomplicate to make people want to have to work with them or buy products for them. So you think that you don't understand these concepts. No, these are simple concepts, okay?
So
you buy an index fund, you just buying all the stocks in the country. Like, it's not really that hard, but they're gonna they're gonna make it complicated, right? That's my space, but I often have a problem translating that out the other way, right? If I explain what I do, then I'm just, people are like, wait, what? So I understand that, but you have to have it on both sides. So I love that you said that I have to understand things in a simple way, but that's how our brains work, I think. And a lot of people think that to be smart, they have to have all these words and be all elaborate. That's so great for maybe a essay, but in real life, when you're really trying to work with people, I really feel like you have to have that tool. And me as accidental entrepreneur, I've definitely had to learn that the hard way. No, you don't need to sound all smart. Just really keep it just keep it simple. Yeah.
I do think that's another reason. I think in certain industries, people maybe try to overcomplicate things so people buy, but I also think people overcomplicate it because they want to appear smarter. And it's, I don't need you to look smart. I need you to be clear so people buy. Like, people don't give me $20,000 to work with me for a year because I seem like the smartest. I seem like the person who can get them the results quickly because they resonate with what I'm saying.
Yes, it's all about results. It's all about results. And I have to constantly remind myself about that too, because also I think a lot of times we want to throw a lot of information at people too. And like, people don't process that much. Like, just teach like one simple thing, or you want to feel like you're bringing so much value. So you got to give these people this and all this, all this and all this and all this. It's just no. People need something that they can grasp onto. People need to see a result, and then they can move on to the next thing.
Yes, that is so true. That is I think that's another difference between like experts and coaches or experts and teachers, which is why I love working with experts, because I'm like, you're brilliant and you have so much knowledge, but you have to learn how to translate that knowledge in bite-sized pieces so people can take it and create their own results. And I think that is another reason why I think it comes naturally for me to help people with this, is because I realize I get overwhelmed with a lot of information. If you are just talking too much, I'm checked out by your seventh sentence while you're on sentence 20 and I already forgot what you said. And so I check in with my people. Like even when I do webinars, we're engaging. I'm making sure you understand before I move on to a concept. When I create curriculum, like I'm creating 20-minute videos instead of 65-minute videos. It's like, why would anybody want to sit and watch a 65-minute video when it could be broken down?
Yes.
And after the 20 minutes, they can take their time and implement and process and then move on. So just thinking about how can this information be well received and how can it be digestible so the person watching this video or consuming this content can take action.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. What kind of people do you typically work with? Who is your target audience? Who comes to you mostly to help them?
Yeah, I work with a lot of experts who want to build coaching programs, or I work with a lot of done for you service providers, which would be like web designers, graphic designers, agency owners, photographers. So people who are leveraging their skill and their expertise to produce a result for somebody, whether it's through teaching or actually providing the service.
Cool. And like when you work with them, do you do a done for you service? Like you build out everything for them, or is it just like coaching and telling them like what to do and then they do it themselves?
Yeah. So I coach my clients. We don't do any done for you services. And I've ran an agency before a couple of times, and I find that my clients who get the best results is through coaching because I'm teaching them how to think versus doing it for them. And what I've recognized running an agency and doing done for you, whether I was building landing pages, writing copy, creating the design, I've done all of those things, is it makes it easier for the client to become more hands off of their business, and the more hands off without the right systems and the right team and things defined in your business, the less results you're going to get because you don't even know why your messaging is messaging the way that it is. You don't even know how many emails sent out. You don't even know what needed to be in the emails. But when we're coaching our clients, it's okay, here's how I want you to write the emails. Now in the coaching, the beauty is I give them templates so they're not overworking. They don't have to figure out a thing from scratch, but they know why I created the templates and the foundations the way that I did. So they're like, oh, I can take my genius and I can plug it into Maya's system, but I know why Maya's system works instead of just hiring Maya to plug in her system and I have no idea why it's working the way that it is. So that way, when they leave my program, if they want to hire a copywriter, they want to hire people that's cool, but they also know how to direct that copywriter to write on their behalf because they understand marketing and messaging now.
Yeah, I totally really like the teaching a man to fish versus giving them the fish because especially in this day and age, you can really lose sight of where you're going and what you're doing if you're not in your business. And I know there's this whole push to be outside of your business, but you still have to understand how things work. But when we talk about even outside of entrepreneurial space, because not all of my audience are entrepreneurs, I think what resonates a lot about your story is just how much you've had to adapt and how much you took the way that you were thinking and you processed to build a whole business around it to help other people. What advice do you have for people who need a reinvention, who are trying to step out and who are trying to do different things with their lives?
Oh, yeah. If you're in a season of reinvention, the first thing is definitely going to be, you just got to be really honest with yourself. That is the first thing. And I think reinvention can be challenging because it requires you to let go of a version of your life that supported you at the time that you needed it. Right? Whether you were so excited for this job that you have, but you've been working there for 5 years and you're realizing it's not serving me in this season. But you want to be loyal to your employer, or you don't want to seem ungrateful to God, that I really wanted this job and you needed that job that you got at 30 is not serving you now at 35 or whatever age you are. And so just being honest about outgrowing things that served you in the past, and it doesn't make you ungrateful. It doesn't make you anything bad. It's just a sign I've grown and I need to make sure that everything else in my life matches that evolution. So that's the first thing, getting honest about what you've outgrown and then getting honest about what you desire next. And I do think sometimes it's hard for us to verbalize what we desire next because we're nervous that we're going to get judged. We're nervous that we're going to seem ungrateful. We're nervous that people could be like, girl, you want all of that? Like, why do you want all of this? And I'd be looking at people like, girl, why don't you? What are we talking about right now? So really the first step is a level of honesty about what's no longer working for you and what you truly desire to have. Then the next step is, okay, what is the game plan so that I can get this? Who do I need in order to get this? Do I need clients? Do I need a coach? What type of support do I need for this? And just getting clear about, okay, what investments do I need to make? Whether it is hiring a coach or hiring a housekeeper if I need one, hiring a nanny. Maybe I want to start doing more with my time, but I need somebody to help with the kids. Whatever it is, we need to get clear on the resources that we need. From a business perspective, if you're changing industries, getting clear on who you want to serve, what are some of the offers that you want to sell. And then the last step would be, okay, what systems do I need in place? From an entrepreneurial perspective, you're going to be looking at what does my business model need to be to match how I'm living my life now? There's some clients where it's like, of mine who will say, I don't have capacity anymore for one-on-one. Can you help me build a group coaching program? For your personal life, whatever it is that you desire to do, you have to be honest about, this is what I have the capacity for. This is what I don't have the capacity for. What systems do I need to put in place to allow me to live the life that I want or to run the business that I desire to build?
I love that. A lot of people, though, I feel like would rather be in that place where they are because it's comfortable and they have a lot of fear around the unknown of stepping out of that comfort zone. And also a lot of it is like a fear of failure. What if this doesn't work? Like, how do you talk people through that?
Yeah. Yeah, people like to stay in their comfort zone. And I also feel your comfort zone is actually where everybody else around you feels comfortable, but you feel uncomfortable. And I recognized that when I wanted to drop out of college, my comfort zone was college because it's like, great, my parents will still love me and they'll still be pleased with me. But I'm barely passing classes because I'm not paying attention. I'm too busy designing club flyers in the middle of accounting class because I'm trying to make my money with my graphic design business. And it is really scary. I think one of the first things is you got to learn how to not make other people's voice and opinion your God. I'm a recovering people pleaser, so I've stayed in seasons longer than I needed to stay in because I wanted to please man more than I wanted to please God. And when I was in a season where I was ready to drop out of college, I didn't have the spiritual maturity to say, okay, the Holy Spirit is guiding me in this direction. I felt something inside of me, right? Like my intuition, the Holy Spirit, God telling me like, yes, there's more for you and you're good, you're protected. I'm going to take care of you. But for me, I'm 22, 23 at this time. My parents are my God at this point because I hadn't developed enough of a strong enough relationship with God on my own where it was like, what my parents say matter most. And so it's logical because these are the people who brought me into the world. But having to recognize even the people closest to you that love you more than anybody in the world are still not your God. And so you will have to disappoint people sometimes who are the closest to you in order to follow your obedience and to follow your calling. So I really think that's the first thing. The really only way to overcome fear is to make your faith bigger. That's really the only answer. And that's really what it comes down to.
Speaking of people being really close to you, I think I remember reading a long time ago, like you sharing your vision with, I guess, somebody you were dating or somebody you were with, and them wanting you to shrink yourself down. Did I remember that correctly? I think I did.
Yeah, it was something like that. I think I was, again, 22 or 23 at the time. And this was a season where I'm like, oh, I'm about to be full-time in my business, or I might have dropped out and gone full-time in my business. I'm wanting to make six figures, which, you know, is $8,333 per month. And I had my highest month, and I think it was about like $6,400 or $6,900, something like that. And I was really excited about it. And I told him about it, and he was like, what's the big deal? It's not the number that you need for six figures. And so as he minimized my excitement and my accomplishment.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, it's like, I make 5 times more than you. So why are you trying to you should be hyping me up, sir. I'm helping you pay your bills.
Like,
we eating off of my $6,900 where I ain't making money. Listen, you got to be careful and have some discernment about who you let around you. Okay. That would be one of the biggest pieces of advice that I would give my younger self is like, girl, you can't just let anybody around you. Okay. But yeah, so it was that. And back then I was also doing income reports, which you might be familiar with if you were in the blogging age and stuff, but it was like, I would share how much money I made in my business because I wanted to be transparent with my audience on my journey to 6 figures. And so at this time, I'm making between $4,000 and $5,000. Of course, I had my highest month is $6,900, and I was so excited about it. And I do the breakdown of here's how I made the money. And my parents saw it and they're like, why are you telling the internet how much money you're making? And I'm like, oh my gosh, these people drive me crazy. Now my parents are like my biggest fans, my biggest advocates. Like they ain't got nothing to say when I took them on the random trip to Turks and Caicos. My mom was like, this was worth every my mom was like, this was worth every penny. I'm like, girl, these ain't your pennies to say what it was worth.
Your parents are so cute, by the way. Like, I adore them.
The same pennies you didn't want me telling the internet about is the same pennies that got you on this vacation.
Right.
So listen, sometimes you just gotta do what you feel is best. And whether it's a good friend, your spouse, your parents, and of course there's different dynamics and you want to navigate it with love and grace and respect, but you gotta follow what feels best for you. If you feel like God is calling me to do this, have an honest conversation with the people that you love and that love you, and move accordingly.
Oftentimes, I tell people if they want to change their situation, they have to change their circle of influence. And to me, that means you don't have to stop talking to your friends and family, but you have to incorporate into your lives conversations and people things that you aspire to. How do you advise people to do that?
Yeah, I think the exact same thing. I think proximity is so important. Who you allow to be around you. I say the people and the places. Those 2 P's, if you just master that, the people you spend time around and the places where you spend your time are really going to dictate your future. It's going to dictate how you are influenced in making decisions. And man, it was so unfortunate. I actually had a call a few weeks ago or a month ago or something like that. And this lady, she wanted to invest in her business. She really needed support with business coaching and stuff like that. And she's like, but my husband, he just really doesn't like to spend any money. And I don't even know if I should tell him. I don't know if I can do this. And I'm like, I can't even imagine. And it was harder for me to understand this even younger in my 20s when women would be like, I have to ask my husband. I'm like, girl, you ain't got your own money. Now I understand. I have more wisdom in my 30s. Okay. I have more wisdom in my 30s. And I definitely think we need to honor our husbands. And really, if they're phenomenal men, whether or not, biblically speaking, we honestly should submit to it. But this is why having discernment and being in the right relationships is important. It's like, I cannot fathom being married to somebody who wants to shrink off of a dollar. Like money is important, right? We know that, but it's like, money is important, but the reason I think it is important for people to have money is because you are a more honest person when you have more money. The reason I believe that is because you make decisions based on your values, not based on the lack in your bank account.
That part.
And so she wasn't able to make a decision that honored what she truly felt she should be doing because they're so worried about money. And so that was really hard for me. Of course, I empathized with her on the call. She was going through some other stuff. And I'm like, Lord, she just has a lot. God, just cover her. I'd be praying for people on freaking sales calls. I'm like, girl, you don't even you need Jesus. Okay.
Right.
But man, I just can't imagine when I think about the things that I desire in my friends and a partner. So I want you to expand me. I need to be around expansive people who can say, sis or babe, you're shrinking. Let's go bigger. Money cannot be the thing that is keeping us from this expansive vision. So I don't even know how I got into that, but you got to be around the right people and the right places.
Yeah. And I love what you said. Yo, what you spend money on is truly what you value. So that's why I tell people when I evaluate their spending, listen, this is showing me what you value. You could tell me all day what you value, but I'm looking through these transactions, honey, and it seems like you value in Amazon. Like, what's going on?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. Yes. I like that because people need to take a step back and really, really do, especially some deep work, especially if they're in a process of reinvention, a process of trying to change who they are or having a reset or whatever you want to call it. I really think that a lot of people just aren't examining right now where you at. Is it aligned with where you think you are and where you want to go? Yeah.
That's true. I think a good exercise is one for people to write down their values. And like you said, when you look at people's bank statements, I can actually tell what you do value based on your spending. There is a scripture around that. It says something like, where your money is, there your heart is also, somewhere in Matthew. And it's true. It's if I look at my bank account, we see what I value, right? I value having a roof over my head. That rent or mortgage is going to be paid. If you look at my particular spending, we see, and I do less of it now, but you can see that I value convenience and delegation. Like you gonna see a housekeeper on there, you gonna see laundry service, you gonna see DoorDash. I could do my laundry and clean my house, which I don't mind doing. I know how to do those things well because I love a clean space, very orderly and organized, as y'all know. I also value somebody else doing it for me so I can spend my time with my family, doing things that I love. Sometimes when I have retreats with my clients, day one is usually about building the CEO. Day two is about building the business. Let's first build the CEO so we can build your business around who you are. And I have them pick out their core values. I'll give them a list of 150 core values. And I'm like, let's dwindle it down to 20 and then dwindle it down to 6 to 8 of them. And so I have them write down their values, but then I have them measure their values the same way they would create KPIs in their business. If you had to score yourself on a 1 to 10, you say you value family. How often are you spending time with your family? You say you honor generosity. When is the last time you donated your time? When is the last time you donated money? And so I think it's important for us to write down our values, but then also hold ourselves to a standard of, are these my values that I'm living, or are these the values of who I want to be? And I need to do a better job being honest that I'm not that person right now.
Yep. I love those check-ins. And we need to do them regularly. You can't just do it once. Like you need to revisit that because stuff falls off, especially in this society. I think right now, especially people are having a hard time dealing with a lot of the things that are going on with our administration, with our economy, and people are floundering. People are really trying to figure out what their life is right now. And so like I really feel like this is a real big season of reset and a real big season of reinvention. And so I think this conversation is super timely because people, sometimes you don't know what you don't know and you don't really know what you need until you hear it, until you're exposed to it. I know I think the first time we met, we were at a retreat for my leak. And I remember being there. I remember knowing that I really wanted to go there. But when I got there, I didn't realize how much I needed to be in that space. I needed to be in a space where I can be 100% me without code switching, without feeling like I had to show up as this person or feel like I had to shrink myself to get along with that person. It was like knowing, I just being in a space where I could fully be me. And I think that was the first time I felt that. And I was in my late 30s when I went and I was just like, man, like a lot of people need to experience that, but a lot of people just don't know that is what they need.
That is very true. I think because to your point, there's so much going on that it can be challenging to just sit and think about what do I actually need. The world is so noisy and we are constantly distracted. And I also think that because the world is so noisy and because we're dealing with so much stress, that we are feeding into that distraction because we're seeking escapism. it's like, even from a business coaching point of view and thinking about content strategy and working with my clients on their content and thinking about the reality of social media and the direction it's going in, it's like people aren't even going to social media for information anymore. They're going to escape. We want to see funny reels and we want to just keep scrolling, and we get stuck in the scroll for 67 minutes. And it's like, dang, I actually came on social because I meant to look for a recipe that I had saved, but my Discover page is actually, the algorithm is designed to keep us escaped from the real world. And yeah, we're distracted out here, and it's unfortunate. We're seeing all of these late diagnosis for ADHD. It's like, sis, that ain't late. They are designing things for our brains to function less and less. You didn't have ADHD 10 years ago, babe. This is not late. Your brain chemistry literally has altered.
Yes.
You paying attention to a video for 5 minutes now, that was easy to do a few years ago, 6-7 years ago. Now, if you are not captured in the first 3 seconds, you're scrolling on to the next thing.
Yes. Yes. It's that instant gratification, but it's leaving us like with this void, like you said, like we're so distracted that we can't even hone in on what we need oftentimes. Mm-hmm. So I hope this is people's wake up call, especially if they do feel like they need some change in their lives. And if they feel like they really need a reset and a reinvention, that you have to sit in it and you have to understand all of those great things that you shared. So like, how do you typically work with people? I know you do coaching, but I've seen you do events. How do you usually work?
Yeah. So typically I have an annual event or a retreat for my clients, but I really do love working with my clients inside my coaching program. Right now, we're running a cohort called Reinvention Mastermind. And this is for our clients who are entrepreneurs, they're CEOs, and they want to rebuild their brand with elevated messaging, upgraded offers, and a business model that feels aligned with where they are now. And so for a lot of our clients, this could be from going from done for you to done with you. This could be going from one-on-one to group coaching. This could be going from one niche to a completely brand new niche because they've grown, they've elevated, and they want to do something different. And I love working with my clients in this capacity because, of course, like we have great curriculum and courses and trainings that I think is phenomenal, but I get to coach them on the spot, like on these weekly calls, and get to hear, okay, Maya, this is what I worked on. Can you give me some feedback? And I think one of the most fulfilling parts of my work is that the women I work with are already just so brilliant and genius in their own right. And I just get to hone that genius in a way that brings them more money. It creates more impact for them and makes them feel fulfilled in their work. So I love what I do with the coaching.
I love that. I love that. And if people want to reach out to you and work with you, how can they do that?
Yeah, so you can follow me on Instagram at Maya Elious, MayaElious. Or if you want to hear more about our Reinvention Mastermind, we have a free training at mayaelious.com/evolve, and see if reinvention right now is really what you're seeking for your business. And if it is, let's get on a call and talk about what working together can look like.
I love that, Maya, and I love this conversation. It was so good. I know people will take a lot away from it, so I appreciate you. I appreciate your time. Thank you so very much.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Of course.